Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of U of L women's athletics, and certainly the two that are kind of coming front and center as we go into today's podcast. Obviously, women's basketball rolling through their season so
'Tis the
far.
season, yes.
Yes, and also we wanted to talk a little volleyball today, although the volleyball season for the Cards volleyball squad on campus is over and completed and done with. There's certainly some action going on within the various pro leagues of volleyball that include former U of L players. I won't say any current ones. Former U of L players who are participating in. I think what did you tell me, Jeff? Three different pro leagues now. I can't keep track of them
Yeah.
all, but
One's not particularly relevant to the discussion at the moment, but yes, there are three US-based pro volleyball leagues. I put a little bit of an air quote on volleyball because AU is kind of a little bit of a different beast.
Jeff will be giving us a volleyball 101 primer earlier or later in the broadcast, or volleyball for dummies, which would be what I would read. Uh,
Volleyball leagues for dummies, keeping track of them. It is. It's a lot going on, and it is a little bit difficult to keep up with. So I certainly sympathize.
but we'll certainly get into that later on in the broadcast today and follow up on some former Cardinals. We have a foursome on the tee today. The Cardinal couple crew that's with us today includes Case, me, Jeff, and Jared, as Daryl, just recently back from her honeymoon, is still in a dither and decided that she couldn't do anything right now until she recomposes and gets her stuff back together. So we certainly understand. You only get married, well, a couple times in your life. So in her case, her first, but it's a new. Everything's brand new to
We
her and
can we
everything.
can hope
So
for only, you know.
yeah, can hope for one. Sometimes things happen. She is certainly been with Thomas a long time, so there's no unfamiliarity there with those two, and certainly we'll be hearing back from her next week. I would assume things going well, but I hadn't really heard anything on how their honeymoon went or anything, but I didn't really track
Saw
it that closely.
saw pictures on
I
Instagram.
spent 6 days in Las Vegas. It could not have gone well. I mean, there's just no way. I'm sure it was great as far as like a honeymoon goes. A great big, like, that's too long. Like, I know she specifically made the joke about knowing that 6 days in Vegas was too long, but come on, like, even if you ignore the concept of um, getting way too far into your cash reserves um, in certain gaming centers. Even if you ignore that, Las Vegas is not a place that appeals to me for that long.
My last foray into the gambling world was years ago when I was in Tahoe and did Tahoe for 3 days and got wiped out completely. So I can imagine what 6 days would cost you. In fact, the only money I made was I made money on a Kentucky Tennessee football game when I figured that Tennessee would wipe the Cats up on the field, and bet a big chunk on that and was correct in my assumption and got a lot of my money back. But as far as anything else went, they are one-armed bandits, and don't let anybody tell you differently. Uh, but like I said, we got a crew of four today, so let's catch up with the guys at the start of the show here, like we'd like to do. And you heard Jeff earlier chiming in here on some things. Let's go ahead and start with you, Jeff. What's going on?
Looking at heading up to Indianapolis after we're done here. Hoping going to go to the Indy Ignite game that we talked about, the PVF team in Indianapolis that was starting will be its franchise debut tonight, and they have two of our former Cards on the team, Elena Scott and Anna DeBeer. Hoping to see Elena Scott out on the court. Anna, we will not see out on the court, is the presumption. She's still recovering from that ankle injury that she suffered in the national semifinal match. So But hoping to go out there, see this new Fishers Event Center we were talking about earlier, and their place, and be there for the inaugural match for this new franchise.
As pro volleyball to me is kind of a new creature on the block, and I assume it's only been around for a couple of years from what you were telling me earlier. But so we'll get into the specifics of that later. But certainly, well, what is the status on Anna? I hadn't seen anything since that horrific injury.
Yeah, she rolled her ankle. Some minor injury as a part of that. It was even right after they were saying 4 to 6 weeks to recover from that, and it's been a little over 3 at this point since that match. So it's as far as I know, everything's on course. She'll be back in the next week or 3. Is I think what we're expecting. So
we'll certainly look forward to her coming back and playing. Also in the house with us today, we got Jared Anderson, our photographer extraordinaire, who's been out there snapping pictures. Getting a lot of snow pics right now, Joey?
Well, yesterday somebody booked me for some snow pictures, and once we get off air here, somebody else booked me. I'm like, I'm not big on being out in the snow and ice, and I hate the cold, so not really my thing. But hey, we're in and out pretty quickly because they're like, oh, these pictures will be cute and fun, and then 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I'm cold. Okay, we can wrap up.
Can I give you a tip on some gear that might help?
I've got plenty of gear on, but
I would recommend looking at some hunting gloves because I feel like with the dexterity that they offer for like a trigger finger, I think that'd be helpful with the camera, but still offer a fair amount of warmth because most of the time, if you're deer hunting, you're expecting to be sitting very still for a long time in very cold.
Oh yeah, I'm much more of a warm weather fan.
Yeah.
I don't like running my faucets at night, and I don't like worrying about slipping and sliding on the street. So I can handle 90 degrees a lot better for safety concerns, I guess.
I guess you could get a lot of good outside winter shots through the window where you're inside nice and warm and dry, and just aiming your camera out the window and taking pictures.
Got to go outside and clean the window first.
That's how probably I would do it. Yeah, of course the window would have to be cleaned. That's why I'm married. So Sonny, would you go clean that window?
Yeah, I did spend a good time trying to clean parts of my roof and gutters to allow the snow to melt and drain off the roof, so it doesn't just sit 9 to 10 inches on the roof. Doesn't sound too appetizing when it melts.
Yeah, and if you didn't get a good fall clean in on your gutters, and if you don't have like one of the preventatives like a gutter helmet or a gutter guard or something like that over your gutters, that can be a rough one for you kiddos. The main thing we've been problemed with is all the icicles that are forming on the front windows and stuff as they come down from the gutters. I mean, we've got some icicles here that I swear are 4 feet long. And once they get big and heavy like that, they can put some strain on a gutter. So we're playing knock down the icicles with the stick game, which could be fun, but make sure and stand a long way back.
We've got some on that are coming off the roof line down to the deck, so it's not all that far. Like it's 8-10 feet maybe from the gutter to the deck surface, but the icicles are now fully all the way down to the deck. So at this point they're kind of self-supporting. So
got some stalactites that joined with stalagmites, and now you're
just
got
a
cave column.
Yeah. We can make you a winter wonderland drive-by, Jeff. You could charge admission for that.
Yeah.
Take a look at your left window, and you'll see.
Actually, not very visible from the street, but
Yeah. It's just a time of year I don't like to go out into. It used to be at one time I really loved the snow, but as I've gotten older and a little less steady on my feet and such like that, I really do not care too much for snow and the hazards that it can bring. Now, driving in it, I'm fine. Not a problem. But otherwise, no thank you. All right, what else we got going on? Case, your world, what's happening?
Not a lot. Spent some time shoveling the driveway Wednesday, I guess it was. Yeah, because I had to go out of town on. I had to drive out to Lexington on Thursday, so I shoveled the driveway on Wednesday. Knew we were supposed to get some more snow yesterday, so went ahead and shoveled the whole thing instead of just enough to get my car out. It was a bear. It was a bear. Had Lindsay helping. She was breaking up ice with the straight hoe and I shoveling, and then we switched so that she could shovel after it was all broken up on top, and I was basically peeling the ice off the actual asphalt surface with the straight hoe, and it took us every bit of 3 hours to do the whole driveway. It was what an enjoyable experience. So
Yeah, that doesn't sound like much fun for sure. And as for me, yeah, just kind of been watching it snow. We haven't had a whole lot of commitments and things that I've had to do otherwise than my 3 mornings a week having to go in and do dialysis. But that's been fortunately very easy because it's not too far from the house. We've got the big Ford F-150 pickup truck, and it tends to do quite well in weather like this. So we were able to cruise along when others were fearing to tread on the highways. I mean, I've never seen Bardstown Road almost completely vacant, and that sight to me was it's been a long time since I've seen that. We have to go back probably to the, I'm going to say 20th century, that long, where there was really nothing going either way up and down Bardstown Road. So, kind of a rarity. It made me think about, what's going to happen after the Holocaust. Anyway, we have no Holocaust here with Cardinal Sports. We've got a lot of good things going on, as a matter of fact. Things are going well for the Cards as they, in women's basketball, continue to roll along, winning games, although maybe not winning games as prettily as would like to see them do that. There have been some tough ones here. We can take a look at the Pitt game for an example. I'm hearing some clicking in the background, guys.
Sorry, that's me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what was happening there, whether someone was trying to jack into the broadcast or what was going on there.
Oh, Case got a new typewriter for Christmas.
Oh, nice. Is it electric case or did you get the manual?
I've had this keyboard for almost a decade. This is the same keyboard I use all the time. What I did do, and I think is what it is I moved where my mic stand, where the base is, and so now it's on the same surface as the keyboard.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just actually getting some
That
noise
was,
translation, just vibration translation through the surfaces.
yeah, I was going to comment on. You might want to check what your mic settings are because it's you sound a little
Picking up a lot.
echoey a little more today too than normal. So I don't know if maybe double check which one.
Stand by, we'll save it.
Yeah,
I do hear kind of like a haunting in the background. Sounds like a little bit.
yeah. So anyway,
In any event, yeah. The Cards did decide to go take on Pittsburgh in women's basketball because the conference said they had to. So they went out and got rid of that. Actually, it wasn't as bad up there in Pittsburgh as it was here in Louisville on Thursday. The Cards won this game, Jared. A case of where Louisville went up there, they didn't really play all that great, buddy, but they still ended up putting together a good third and fourth quarter and getting the win.
Yeah, they left the offense back here in Louisville, at least for the first half. And goodness, it was just bad. And I thought the defense in the first half was fine. Probably could have, not given up a couple open backdoor cuts and layups here and there. But for the most part, I was perfectly fine with how the defense played for majority of the game. Just concerns with the offense. Off-ball movement seemed kind of stale. And then just way too many turnovers in the mix and missed layups. We've had issues with missed layups. It seems like for 5 or 6 years now, and hadn't gotten any better. Wish we'd address that a little bit more.
well, part of the problem in the first half was from beyond the 3-point line. We couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from the inside beyond the 3-point line. So in the first half, so
that was rather ugly indeed. And if one had told me that the halftime score would be 28-21 Pittsburgh, I would have probably asked what was our rushing yardage and how many touchdowns did the Browns score. Uh, but no, it wasn't a football score. It was actual after basketball first half, women's basketball 28-21 Pittsburgh in the lead. The Cards were basically just they weren't getting anything to drop for them very often, and were having a hard time. Actually, it was kind of Taj Roberts who was out there trying to earmark some things, but uh, let's face it, this was not a pretty game at all for Louisville.
You mean you didn't like 1 of 15 from beyond the arc in the first half?
That would be like me out in the backyard with Jared taking shots, and saying, "Okay, Jared, I'm 0 for 8. How about you? 1 for 7, P. Okay."
So 6.5%, in case anyone was curious.
Yes, that's not what the doctor ordered there for sure. But
Man, you got a lot of faith in me to make a 3-pointer.
well, hey, you're younger than me.
Doesn't mean much.
And I'm talking about in today's weather with gloves on. Case would recommend us wear hunting gloves as we shot our 3-pointers.
I mean, dribbling the ball on a surface of 12 inches of snow is going to be a little dubious.
Probably not going to get much of a return, is what you're telling me when I bounce it down.
Probably going to pretty much go down and stay down.
Well, I guess we're going to have to shovel it into the basket then. The Cards went up there, and Pitt came out, and they were bound and determined to make a game of this on Louisville. And I'm not so sure if it was the Pitt effort that kind of had us, or our own fallacies that had us in kind of a funk here against the Panthers. But hey, taking a look at some of the basics on it, we did hit 5 of 6 free throws in the fourth quarter because Pitt decided that fouling would be the idea here, and we were able to do that. So that's a plus for us. And that was basically the rare time where we got to the free throw line was in the fourth quarter. Because other than that, we went to the free throw line once in the first quarter and did not go to the free throw line in the second or third quarter. Did that surprise anybody, the fact that we weren't getting to the line?
Thought part of it was just a lack of aggressiveness attacking the rim as well. So if you're not, going at the defense and forcing them to really step up and either make a play or cause a foul, I mean, they can just sit back and watch you miss threes left and right and not have to do anything.
A situation where the Cards, I don't know if it was just maybe the layoff Louisville had after being off for a while. Maybe that had a little bit to do with it. Sometimes a team will come back and it's like, well, we had 4 days off. It was the second game of a road trip. We had gone to Wake Forest and had just a monster of a contest there, fellas. Taking that one in overtime against Wake Forest. And then going to Pitt, hey, it was. Was there a hangover from that? Jeff Wallace seemed to be happy about the win, but I think with looking at this team and what Jeff Wallace has on his talent roster, he's happy about any win they get.
Yeah, I suspect that's probably a little bit of it. Having been away, getting back into the groove of the game and the pace. So I think that may be part of it. I also think just we're starting to see this team just starting to come together as a coherent whole. It's been a little bit of work getting there, come along the way, and it's starting to happen. I think we're starting to see the fruits of those labors. But going up to Pitt, I don't know. Maybe our offense just got out in the cold and got frozen and took a little while to thaw out. But I thought watching that, I was like, okay, we're playing fairly well, not great, but fairly well. We just couldn't hit shots. until the fourth quarter. So, I would probably be if I were a coach, I would probably be fairly happy with the execution, with the exception of just not hitting the shots.
And I think in addition to not hitting the shots, it was settling. I think for a lot of shots, the three ball wasn't falling, and I think whether the players themselves were just committed to getting it to start going down, or Walls was like, just keep putting them up. Eventually they'll fall. I mentioned 1 for 15 from 3 in the first half, and Louisville was 9 for 20, 9 for 20 from 2-point land in the first half, which is still not very. It's not great.
It's not bad.
It's not terrible. 45%. 45% is not bad. But because you're settling for those outside shots, then it also impacts your free throws. You're not getting anybody in foul trouble if you're just shooting from the outside, and they're not worried about you making it or they're not worried about fouling you by getting too close on a closeout because you're
not
bricking
hitting
everything.
shots. Let them shoot.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't know whether they got Mike's secret sauce during halftime. Just drank out of the Gatorade bottle with a piece of masking tape on it. But yeah, they were able to make some more shots in the second half. They didn't shoot that much differently from inside the arc in the second half, except for in the fourth quarter when they were just lights out. But some shots finally started falling, which when you have shooters and shooters shoot, eventually you'll make them.
Yep. Hello, Taj.
Yeah, exactly.
The defense did come up with 11 steals in the contest, which you have to be impressed by against a Pitt team that, and they haven't been talked about, obviously, in circles of being one of the powerhouses in the ACC or anything like that. Don't get me wrong here, but still, when you can pull off 11 steals in a game, that means you are fairly active with your hands on defense and getting the ball back, and that's a good thing to have.
It's 11 additional possessions there, so it can make a big difference.
Indeed, it is, and I wonder a little bit sometimes about when they do that though, and have that going for them. Is it where the defense is maybe overemphasizing the steal at times and trying to make that big turnaround play, and then consequently not getting there in time and leaving the other team a wide open shot to score with? And I did see that happen kind of several times for Louisville, but as Jeff Walls said many years ago, and it's still true today, any road win is a good one. If it's in the ACC, it's doubly good.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it was.
And you can talk about closing out and going for the steal versus closing out on a solid shot defense, but excuse me, Pitt didn't exactly shoot the lights out either. So maybe going for those steals was the right thing to do, and just wait for our shot to come around.
Well, and Louisville's been playing an aggressive defense through the season. They're stealing 10.2 times per game, 66th, tied for 66th in the country. They have 163 steals overall.
Right.
So it's not terribly new for them to be hunting and pursuing. I think this team plays a lot like we saw Rick Pitino teams play, chasing deflections. Maybe Walls is even scoring those. We don't know, right? But maybe he's even scoring them like Rick used to for Louisville. That disruption can do a lot, even if you don't get the deflection, even if you don't get the steal. If you've got good help defense, what you can do is you play a lot for a steal. If the opponent feels overconfident that now you've committed to a steal and they get by, maybe they're going to put themselves in trouble if the help defense is there. Now, if not everybody's doing what they're supposed to do and the help defense doesn't come, and you do get that wide open lane, then that's going to be a problem. Or if the help defense collapses too much and you leave a shooter open in the corner, that's a problem against a team that's better than Pitt. But yeah, it has been working out better for Louisville recently. It's a little tough. You don't want to get too overexcited about this little run that Louisville's had, considering some of the competition. But it looks like they could be, uh, if not turning a corner, at least approaching that corner with their performances so far.
Kind of taking a look back at it, it is a 4 game win streak. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, it is a 5 game win streak for the Cards. It's going all the way back to the loss that they had at against North Carolina State back on the 15th of December. Was the last time that the Louisville fell to an opponent. And I'm not going to go back and review that one in any way, shape, or form. That was just a total abomination. But since then, the Cards have been winning, going to Memphis, going to Boston College, getting wins, coming home to face and beat a good Miami squad, and then taking on Wake Forest and Pitt on the road and getting W's. So when you consider 4 out of these 5 wins in the win streak were on the road, that bodes even better for such a young team. And Jared, when we look at this team, we have to remember, okay, yeah, he's starting 4 players that did play some last year and such like that. But when you take a look at the overall makeup of this team, Jared, we are young, young, young.
Yeah, assuming he can keep this team together and NIL doesn't break things apart in future years, this is a team, I think I may have mentioned it before, that I could see having a couple Final Fours down the road. I don't think this year is a Final Four year, just as you mentioned with the youth, but maybe as early as next year. But I think within 2 to 3 years, Louisville's going to be back in the top 5. You just got to keep them together. They're still learning. The college game is way different than the high school game, and a lot of them you can tell they're still trying to adjust. The speed of the game is quite different, and you can't just overpower your opponent anymore. You actually have to, game plan and have a play ready to run each time.
Cards will come home tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure they're already home, but we'll go get back into the KFC Yum Center tomorrow and bring in Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech. Very, very surprising to me squad this year that was basically undefeated until their last game, where they went up against Virginia Tech and went double overtime in a game that was 104-94 loss for them. Until then, Tech was undefeated. Georgia Tech was undefeated against Virginia Tech at 15-0, and was really impressing everybody in the league as being one of those teams like, wow, look out. So let's kind of take a look at this Georgia Tech team. What are we seeing here, guys? Are they going to come in here and I hate to put it in these kind of terms, but are they going to try and pull an NC State on us and just wipe up the floor with us, or are we most considerably better than them?
You have a top 10, top 15 team that's coming off their first loss of the season. I think they're going to be a little pissed off, and it doesn't bode well for us. So we've got to be prepared, and we've got to be able to jump out of the gate and really get the offense going.
Yeah, I think what you absolutely cannot do against this Georgia Tech team, which is a weird thing to say about a Georgia Tech team, what I'm about to say. You cannot come out and have the offensive performance that they had at the beginning of the Pittsburgh game. This Georgia Tech team can score. They have broken 100 twice, broken 95 times. Their lowest scoring output of the season is 67, which was like a weird game. It was against Georgia State. The final score was 67-47. I think just neither team could shoot. But yeah, they score a lot of points. And so if you come out and you miss everything from the outside, you're going to have a bad time. Louisville only scored 42 against NC State for a reason. If they score 42 against Georgia Tech, that's not going to be a winning effort.
Jeff, one of the things that may slightly hinder Georgia Tech in this game coming in here is that they did lose a freshman that was really doing a great job for them out there in Danny Carnegie on the court with a hamstring problem. uh, pulled that in the third quarter against Virginia Tech, and I would think she's doubtful or out for the Louisville game. But still, when you're putting up that many points, it's not, losing one freshman probably isn't going to hinder you that much, is it?
Yeah, I mean, when you're scoring that much, you've got more than one player doing it. But this is averaging 15 points a game. Losing those 15 points, how much is the next person up going to be able to fill those that point void? Probably not as much. You're probably going to lose a few, but yeah, it sucks when you lose a player. You don't ever want to see, me as a sports fan in general. I don't want to see a player go down injured, even if it's an opponent, even if it's a rivalry. Takes the shine off of a win if you win and you've got this little asterisk hanging out there going, yeah, well, one of their best players was out. So you never want to see that. At least I don't. But I mean, she's scoring 15 points a game. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, shoots
Yeah,
shoots 42% from three.
yeah, yeah. 45% in general, 42% from three. Yeah, almost 80% from the line. It's sounds like she's quite a talent, and it's gonna suck if they're without her. Suck for them.
Yeah.
Nell has one there that can certainly put it up and put it in, as they say. And they're also a team that does really well inside when they attack another team. One of the things that kind of stands out about them from what they can do is they're fifth in the conference in rebounding right now, and can certainly battle inside that paint. Another aspect about them is that they have made the second most three pointers in the ACC this season, averaging almost 10 a game. Almost 10 a game. So, this one a 4 o'clock game tomorrow. If you can get out of your neighborhood, we recommend you to go out and watch this one. It should be a fun one down at the KFCM Center. Hopefully, it'll be fun for a while, Jared. It's, sometimes when a beast comes in this strong and heavy, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit. But Cards fans,
What's weird? Point paints point paint points is not it's not a tracked statistic by the NCAA. It's on every single box score. I don't understand why they don't track paint points overall. But anyway, sorry, I completely derailed it.
no, it is an interesting aspect because when you take a look at what we do, and you take a look at our overall makeup of our offense, we're not a team that really relies a whole lot on points in the paint. Okay, uh, Taj Roberts can slash and drive and score. Olivia Cochran can be strong on the boards at times if she doesn't have to go up against an overpowering opponent against her, which it seems like she runs into every night in the ACC. Just about every other team in this conference has a powerful, dominating, tall center who likes to score. And we've got Olivia Cochran, who is functional. And that's the term I'm going to use for her. I hope that spurs her into having a great game. But let's not forget Nyla Harris and the stuff that she can do for us. So,
yeah, and you talk about Taj Roberts, you talk about Marissa Russell, and these players. Yes, they can get inside and they can score from, in the paint and nearby, but they're also those two in particular are also really good distance shooters, right? So they're also the ones that are filling up the bucket from beyond the arc. So, yeah, it's nice that we've got some players that are more balanced in that respect. Yeah, it's not something like we're gonna be a pounded into the middle like team, which I like. I enjoy it that way.
and certainly, even a loss here would be tough for us to handle at this point in time, but it's certainly still not been a bad season for us. And technically, we're still kind of on the bubble toward getting into the NCAA tournament, even though we haven't done very well in Tier 1, as they like to classify it now, wins. against opponents this year. When you take a look at some of the Tier 1 teams that we've played, obviously to start the season, UCLA, they're pretty much Tier 1, being one of the best teams in the nation. We did lose that one. Kentucky, considered by many to be a Tier 1 team right now, unfortunately did lose to the Cats up there. Oklahoma, a very, very strong team this year, considered to be Tier 1 by many. That was a loss, unfortunately. Yukon, having to play the Huskies in even in New York City. We could have played them anywhere. They were probably going to win this game, a Tier 1 game, uh, as far as their skill. I would think you would have to also say North Carolina State, with the drubbing that they put on us and the skills that they've shown this season, another Tier 1 team. So our losses have been against formidable opponents. We haven't really dropped anything that people had to kind of scratch their heads over and go, well, how did Louisville lose to that team?
Yeah, Louisville is 42nd in the net rankings, 11-5 overall, obviously, 0-5 in quad 1 opportunities, 11-0 in quad 2, 3, and 4 games. The only other team that's 0-5 in quad 1 opportunities that is ahead of Louisville is Michigan, who is 25th in the net rankings. Weirdly, they don't even have a quad 3 game. They're 0-5 in quad 1 games, 2-0 in quad 2 games, and 8-0 in quad 4 games. And I really don't understand how that lands you ahead of Louisville in the net rankings. But
Yeah,
sure, whatever you say, NCAA and net rankings committee. Actually, those are the only two teams that are Belmont is 0-6 in quad 1 opportunities. So yikes. But yeah, that's Louisville needs some quad 1 wins. They don't even have any wins so far that could really make their way into being quad 1 wins. None of their quad 2 games or quad 2 opponents are really close to the break points for where they would increase. So Louisville's got to pick a win up against a quality opponent, either at home or on the road.
And tomorrow could be the opportunity for them to do that. As Jeff Walsh likes to say, the good thing about freshmen is they eventually become sophomores. These freshmen are growing up quickly, though, and doing some good things. And it's a long season. Louisville teams do tend to get better as the season goes on. So let's hope that continues. And really, this front schedule was so heavily loaded with quality opponents that the back half of the schedule doesn't really look that bad in comparison. When you take a look at who we've got, yes, we do have to play Notre Dame twice. Okay, they're a powerful team. There's no doubt about that. But I watched UNC and Duke last night, or a couple of nights ago, or maybe it was last night, struggle to reach 40 points total in a game.
Yeah.
They looked absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, those games that become a first team to 40 wins is they can be difficult to watch sometimes. And that's what I thought we had with our game against Pitt, but until the fourth quarter. But it was a little painful to watch just because of the shooting.
But the Cards are, of course, on the plus side of 500, and certainly bringing out the fans to come out and watch them play and do great things. And we'll continue to hope that happens. But let's go ahead and switch courts here a little bit and change the type of net that we're going to talk about here and move on over to talk about some volleyball here. We have some Cards that are participating in pro volleyball right now, and I'm going to kind of turn this over to Jeff right now and let him explain to me and the rest of you all out there about the various volleyball leagues out there, the landscape of what's going on in pro volleyball and everything else, sir.
Yeah, let's first run down the leagues that are playing volleyball because there are 3 of them. Let's take them in order of when they started. Athletes Unlimited started several years ago. They are an oddball league. They don't play a traditional volleyball, or for that matter, their efforts in softball and lacrosse and other sports either. It's a very individual oriented way of playing where they have teams. They have like 4 teams, and each week they redraft their teams. They'll take the top 4 players in their overall standings. They become the captains, and they draft new teams for the week. They practice for the week, and then play at the end of the week. They do that for volleyball, and you get points for as an individual for if your team wins the match, if your team wins sets, if you do a kill, if you have an attacking error, that's actually negative points, takes points off. So it's a very individualistic approach to it, but you don't have set teams that you're cheering for. So Athletes Unlimited has been around for a few years. They will be playing in the fall this year. They're changing when their season is, so they'll be playing in the fall, which actually during the college volleyball season as well. So there's 2 new leagues that started up. One started last year about this time, and the other one just started this year. The first one was the Pro Volleyball Federation or Pro Volleyball League. It's PVF or PVL, as you'll hear people talk to it. There are how many teams are in the PVF now? They've added Indy this year. So it's like 8 or 9, maybe.
8. Yep.
8. Okay.
Happen to have the website up.
Yeah. Okay. So 8 teams. This is a traditional, franchise model where each team is owned by an individual franchise, and the league is a common league that they play in. They played last year, and we had a few former players that were on teams last year, and again this year we have I think 4 players. More than that.
In PVF?
5? Yeah, 5?
It's 5. No, 6.
Okay, I'm missing
6.
one. Help me out here. So
we've got the 2 setters.
Yeah, we got 2 setters. We got Tori Stringer Duffler, or Tori Duffer Stringer, and Wilma Rivera are both playing for Columbus.
Yeah, and then you've got Indie Ignite with Elena Scott and Anna DeBeer, Aiko Jones on Atlanta Vibe, and Charity Looper on Vegas Thrill.
Right.
Who had a double in her debut last night?
Yeah, she played
led all hitters.
Yeah, had a great match overall. Did really well with Vegas. So that was their season opener last night for Vegas. So so we've got 6 players in the PVF among the 8 teams. And then the newest league to start up is League One. As they say it, they call it Love Volleyball. But it's spelled LOVB, which I'm going to say is Love B. So whatever, I don't know.
I think they're playing a game with the format or like a font to be like, well, the B is an E and then the V and the B.
So it's Love 3.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
love and then 3 dots. Love and a funny colon.
Yeah, it's they're trying to be positive and uplifting. Yeah, okay, fair enough, I get it. But it's Love B. Just if you want to make it love, just say that volleyball is one word, so you don't put in the B in there at all. It's just LOV. Yeah. Anyway, 2 players that are former cards playing in League One, and that is Claire Chaussee and Anna Hall, as they say on TV. And every time I go, who? Oh, Stevie. Okay, was Anna Stevenson when she played here. They both play for the Madison team in Love B. And Love B's League One's model is that there is single ownership across the whole league. All of the teams are owned by the league and the league itself. So it's all one big ownership group for all of it, unlike the franchise model that's in PVF. So both started play this week for their seasons. Obviously the inaugural season for League One, but it's the second season for PVF. And so there's some good volleyball on TV, ESPN Plus or YouTube, or various other outlets are carrying a lot of these games. A lot of UofL rooting interests out there.
There seems to be indeed, taking a look at the Cardinals that are now playing in the various volleyball leagues. I guess a question I'm going to throw at to you, though, Jeff, maybe in case you might, Jared, reflect on this as well. We are a very popular volleyball town here in Louisville. We do a lot of things with volleyball. Were we not in the running or considered for any franchise for any of these leagues?
I think there's been some discussions about a franchise for PVF. They're looking for. I think they're mostly looking for an ownership group to step up to do that. Again, that is the business model for PVF: is that each team is its own franchise, so there does have to be a ownership group to support that. In League One, this is their inaugural season. They started out with 6 teams. They are looking to expand, and I get the impression that Louisville is a consideration there, particularly when you look at the championship weekend of play for League One volleyball is going to be held at the KFC Yum Center in April. I get the impression this is hey, let's test out this market and see if this would be a good market for us. So if you want to see professional volleyball come to Louisville, that is one likely possibility for League One to be the team that comes here. And if you want to support that, get your tickets for the championship weekend in April and come out and support them and cheer.
It would certainly be a great opportunity to get out and do that. Kind of looking at players that we are familiar with. When you go to the PVS, Iko Jones, of course, playing with the Atlanta Vibe. We all remember Iko and the things that she did, and certainly was a fantastic player. We had mentioned.
They played last night, and they were absolutely. The commentators were absolutely singing Iko's praises on the block aspect of things, and she showed it. She came in. She was not the starting right side hitter. She did come in on a kind of a double sub sort of situation, but had some great blocks. Struggled a little bit offensively, but had some great blocking. Contributed to the team pretty well, and she's super thrilled to be playing pro. I've had a few exchanges with her, and she's just happy to be there.
She unfortunately was getting read like a book. She had four attack attempts, and 3 of them were blocked.
Yeah, and at least 1 or 2 of them were not great sets. Like they were set right on the net, where she just didn't have anywhere to go. So yeah.
Sometimes, when you go up and you're getting ready to make that big kill, and there's a bunch of people in front of me.
Yeah, and if the set is set where the ball's only 3 or 4 inches from the net, when you get to it as a right side hitter, and you got 2 blockers up in front of you, there's not a whole lot you can do. You're hitting into that block. You're trying to hit through it, blast through it. Maybe you can get a roll shot over it, but even at that close, even that's dicey. Yeah, it's a tough situation to be put in. So, they need a little better setting for Iko to get there, but we'll see.
We had Iko for such a long time at Louisville and enjoyed watching her play. And whatever. Let me ask just aside to this. Pittsburgh had that one player with the hyphen name that seemed to be up there for 20 years.
Valerie Vasquez
Gomez.
Yeah, did she end up anywhere? Or?
Yes. Where did she end up? I don't remember.
I would have felt she's old enough now where she probably could have bought her own franchise.
Omaha Supernovas, I think, is who she's playing for in the PVF league.
Okay, so they actually went up against Iko. Okay, very good then.
Yeah.
She's on the rise, it looks like. Oh, no, wait. Nope, wrong.
No.
Wrong person, sorry.
But she was always one that kind of impressed me as being around for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, she's on the Supernovas out of Omaha. They are the defending champs for PVF. They won the championship in the inaugural season last year.
Other cards, when you go to Columbus, you'll find 2 Louisville alumni up there with the Tori Springer-Dilfer joining Wilma Riviera on that roster. Certainly good things for them up there for the cards.
Obviously, you're not going to see them on the court at the same time since they play the same position.
Yeah,
But
yes.
we'll see. Maybe they'll run a 6-2 this year, and we'll get to see both of them play. I don't know. We'll see.
Indy has Elena Scott, as we mentioned earlier. Also, Anna DeBeer. Anna's still out, of course, obviously for a while with that ankle. But the Indy Ignite, I wonder how they come up with some of these nicknames for these teams. I just find that interesting.
Yeah, the franchise comes up with it, I guess. So
Yeah, obviously fifth graders at work here, but yeah.
You know, like Grand Rapids Rise, which makes literally no sense.
I kind of liked that one actually.
It's a Phoenix, but like for what?
Yeah.
Like, what is
I
the
don't know.
association between Phoenix
That bird's
and
going to block your shot case.
and the Grand Rapids, Michigan?
Maybe recovering from Rust Belt depression. I don't know.
Who knows? On the topic of Indianapolis teams, though, Butler doing the checker out with the checkered flag style jerseys. It's pretty cool. It's completely off topic, and men's basketball associated, but we were talking about random teams and associations with cities, and I thought that was really cool.
That one being fairly close to us, only a couple of hours away up in Indy.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly, if you wanted to maybe make the drive up and catch one of those matches, you can certainly do so.
Don't do so today. They're sold out.
Check in advance, yeah, because like today, it just said they're standing room only today.
Yeah.
For tickets, so. How many people can stand in an arena in Fishers, Indiana? I don't know.
Yeah, I assume at some point they would cut that off for just safety reasons,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fire marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fire marshals do have a bit of a restrictive procedure on how many they want you inside a building.
For good reasons.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. To check in some of those other teams in that league, San Diego, they're the Mojo, by the way. We're slated to have Aaron Ferris on that roster. But,
yeah, that's a good point. San Diego, Aaron Ferris was slated to be on that roster, and she decided to hang up her knee pads from competitive professional play. So she stepped away from that. She has been very involved over the years with Athletes Unlimited, so I would not be surprised. No inside knowledge of this, but I would not be surprised if she showed up in some sort of like front office role with them, supporting them, marketing, whatever. I'm not sure what that would be, but yeah.
And then one other that we should mention as well would be Charity Looper. We all remember Charity quite well. She's playing for the Vegas Thrill. So an interesting concept there. Las Vegas being thrilling enough that they now have the Vegas Thrill officially out there in volleyball. I wonder if Daryl got a chance to see them play while she was out there.
No, because the season opener was last night.
Oh, okay. So she was already gone. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And reports I got, it was a late game because it was in Vegas and it was, West Coast is later time zones and stuff. So I did not watch that one online, but reports I saw was that the crowd was great, that it was energetic and enthusiastic and up and hype. So maybe they may have something in Vegas as a possible winning formula for a franchise there.
So hopefully that'll work out for them, and that could take part for them. Other than that, guys, just taking a look around, some other things going on. We are getting ready, I think, for some spring sports too. We haven't had the spring sports media days announcement yet.
It's a little early.
Yeah, maybe still a little early to do that. Although I think
I don't know. The game's starting 3 weeks.
I have a
fair point.
if I'm not mistaken, I have attended them in mid-July, or mid-January before down at UofL. And traditionally, when they do the spring one, they will have it over at the soccer center over there because they have the big banquet meeting room over there. Jeff, I think you and I have been over there to that one before,
Mhm.
and where
Yeah.
they bring in the coaches for. Uh,
They did the one I went to last year at the Cooper Center.
and you got to go to the Cuber Center one last year when you attended for me and when I was out to attend that one. Did they give you the box lunch too?
Yeah, had my nice Chick-fil-A box lunch.
There you go. Okay, so at least that tradition hasn't failed. But
Yeah, softball and lacrosse both start their seasons on Friday, February 7th. So I would imagine Spring Sports Media Day will be announced shortly.
I have not looked at softball schedule. Are they doing the traditional 3 to 4 weeks in the South before they open home?
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Leesburg, Florida, Boca Raton, Tampa. Before February 26th, they host Bellarmine.
Yeah. So
Home
that's
opener and then Cardinal Classic that weekend.
yeah, that's typical. All right.
Yep.
I mean, it's also it's just a practical way to schedule. So I get it. It's just always funny.
and I guess Holly, of course, always turns out a very fine product for us, and we've had so much fun following these teams that she's produced over the years. Uh, a look ahead, Jared. You follow them as closely as anybody does. What have we got coming back that's going to impress and maybe excite us a little bit? And what do you think the fortunes lay for us?
They're going to be a very fast, quick team this year. A lot of speed, which I'm excited to see. Outside of that, uh, we lost quite a few of the starting rotation last year. I want to say probably 7 of them, if I remember correctly, were starters. Obviously, Alyssa Zabala is going to be the ace in the circle. Just hoping everybody stays healthy. I know Allie Alexander, who's a rising senior this year, has had a couple injuries over her time, and Easton Lotus, who's a redshirt junior, has had a couple season-ending injuries. And if Louisville can stay healthy, I think they'll be fine. But that'll kind of be the concern is if everybody can stay healthy and if nobody re-aggravates previous injuries.
Certainly fun times at home or for those games. And as you mentioned, yes, if you've got Zabala back, that's a very good thing for Cardinal pitching.
That I think probably looking towards Brooke Gray to be a second pitcher there. Obviously a Louisville product, which is always cool. Hometown hero, so out of Ballard. But I think you were pretty big on her last year, Polly, and with good reason.
Indeed.
She came in as a freshman and wasn't the star of the show, but did quite well. So year of development and coaching at the college level. We'll see how she does. I'm hoping for good things out of her.
Was able to talk to her a lot and also her coach a little bit as well as Holly about Brooke and what a great attitude she has toward not only softball but life in general, and is a player that can brighten and cheer up just about any team she could ever land on with the way that she attacks things and goes after things. So uh, it's always good to have that kind of backup pitcher there in case something happens. I mean, it used to be in the old days you could throw a pitcher 50, 60 games a season, okay? Anymore, I don't know. It's better, I think, to have diversity into some different players that you can throw out there and put into the lineup. The Megan Hensley days are gone. Kind of sad because she was a heck of a ball player. But with that being said and that being done, fellas, we are rolling up on the noon hour here. Another Cardinal couple has kind of jumped in, taken flight, and we are about to land at the end of the flight. So let's roll into some final thoughts and wrap it up there. We'll go reverse alphabetical order and start with me on final thoughts. And mine are I am looking forward very much to see how the rest of this basketball season ends. And I'm also very excited to see what Jeff Wallace is going to do with these freshmen and how much longer he is going to kind of bring them in as a secondary thing for the most part. If this is to be the future of Cardinal basketball, and it's obviously we're not going to win this league this year. I'd like to see Wallace giving the freshmen much more of a hand in the games, much more of a role in the outcomes. Because if this is the future, then I would like to see them certainly become part of that future. Uh, so, Jeff, you can either play what we've had for a few years or let the youth get out there and see what they can do with this. It's up to you, Coach. I'm just going to sit back and watch and comment on it. And that's really all I can do. All right. How about you, Jeff? You're next.
Yeah, obviously my thoughts are with volleyball. So very excited to have two great pro volleyball leagues going on. Well, so I don't think in the long term, over the course of multiple years or decade, that both of them survive. But I think we'll see a survival of the fittest come out of this, and probably some merger of these two organizations down the road. But man, in the meantime, how exciting to see a former Louisville Cardinals continuing on and being able to play professional volleyball in the United States, whereas previously every one of these players would have had to go overseas, and well, some of them did in previous years. So so exciting to see. Thrilled for it. Like I said, come out to the Love Beat Championships when they come to Louisville in April. Maybe we can get a team out of that league here in Louisville. In which case, I'll go on record saying I'll be a season ticket holder. But exciting to see, and be cheering on particularly Elena tonight. Expect to see her on the court. And wishing Anna well and continued recovery of her ankle injury. So,
and then the viewing options for us tonight, Jeff, if we want to watch any of this.
I think on YouTube is what this one is on. I would have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
PVF, right?
Yeah, PVF.
Orlando Valkyries at Indie Ignite will be on YouTube.
Yeah. So.
Tomorrow's Omaha Supernovas at Grand Rapids Rise will actually be on Fox Sports 1.
Yep.
So how about that? A chance to catch that on a mainframe network.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very
I think
good.
the league opening match was on FS2. So
it was, yep.
Yeah.
Which was also Orlando. So Orlando getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, this is Omaha. Never mind. Disregard.
It started with an O. You were close.
and similar color.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? All of the Love B games are on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
So there you go. If you've got that ESPN like I do, that subscription, and watch, enjoy.
You can watch Stevie and
Claire.
Yeah.
Watch our formal Cardinals out there. Jared, you're up next, bud. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's cool how many former UofL volleyball players are playing professionally with how limited number of teams and roster spots are available. So to have such a massive Louisville representation is pretty awesome.
It is indeed. When we used to think of pro participation in Louisville women's athletics, we were unfortunately limited to, the WNBA. No longer. Other pro leagues are out there, and Cardinals are joining them and playing in them and doing well in them. All right, Case?
Yeah, wrote about it in my article today, but shouting out the track and field team, indoor track and field season, specifically Kaya Yeast, set a program record in the 300 meter by almost an entire second. Just incredible effort from her. And also a shout out to the entire program that has been developing so much in the last few years. It's pretty crazy to see times like this sprint from Yeast that is bettering the program record, which was set in 2022. And for her to still finish 7th in that event in this race, Louisville is coming very far as an entire team, especially on the track. We haven't seen a lot out of our sprinters in times past. We've had good distance runners, we've had good field events, but our sprinters haven't been making a ton of noise. And so the new track and field and cross country program director coming in and really putting a focus on a lot of that, including adding a former U.S. pole vaulter to the staff recently, when pole vaulting was actually one of our strengths. So improving the strengths even. It's just exciting to see. We get excited about Louisville representing, or individuals and the team representing UofL on swimming and diving side, and so to see it in the other Olympic sports as well is really cool.
It kind of used to be when you thought of Louisville and women's in track and field, you thought about girls who could throw things a long way.
Yeah, it's throwers for a while, and now it seems like jumpers have become a thing, and maybe the dawn of the sprinting.
Well, and still throwers.
Yeah, still throwers, still jumpers, but now we had some sprinters.
Louisville athlete representing the United States last year at the Olympics. So.
Indeed, there was. In case, that'll bring us to your final thoughts, pal.
That was my final thought.
Was that it?
Yeah, I talked a lot about the
completely. Okay,
well, it was a lot. What do you mean? I know you were trying not to like choke over there in the background.
Yes, that is true. I had to go on mute several times, but anyway, okay, fine. Case's final thought about throwers. No, track and field in general. Obviously, one that we like to follow here when they are in season, so we'll be doing that for you as well, and getting out there and trying to attend those as much as possible. But that's going to do it for another week here. I want to thank everybody for listening, and certainly join us again next week, and make sure and read the Cardinal Couple website daily for the best in Louisville women's athletics. Until then, go Cards!